Welcome back everybody to another MOTOBOB video, and you join me today somewhere in Italy, relatively near to the Ducati factory, and we're here to test out the brand new 2024 Multistrada V4S Grand Tour. Now essentially what you've got here is a multi V4S that's been absolutely maxed out in terms of features and spec to give it as much touring and distance capability as possible. So is this the absolute pinnacle of adventure touring? Well, we've been riding it all day to test it out, and so in this video I'll tell you absolutely everything that you need to know about it.
So how does this new bike fit into the current Multistrada V4 lineup, which now consists of 5 models? Well, as it stands, the base Multistrada V4 and the more premium spec V4S are the general all-rounders, with the V4 Pikes Peak as a more sporty, road-biased offering with 17-inch wheels. The V4 Rally is more off-road and distance-focused, with a taller stance and a much larger 30-litre fuel tank. So this new Grand Tour is effectively an extension of the Multistrada V4S, but with all of the extras you need fitted as standard to turn it into a more capable light tourer and weekend away kind of bike.
Now, having the Multistrada V4S as a base means you've got an incredible starting point for an adventure touring bike, primarily because of this V4 engine which trickled down from the V4 in the Panigale, and that one trickled down from their MotoGP program, so naturally you've got absolutely stacks of power. 170 horsepower peak in fact, which makes it the most powerful adventure bike you can currently buy on the market. They also swapped out the Desmo valve system, a typical feature of many Ducati engines over the years, but in this one they've used regular old spring actuated valves, and that means it's got much longer service intervals. You also get this absolutely top-notch chassis spec as well, so you've got a 50mm upside down fork, monoshock at the rear, and both are controlled by a semi-active electronically adjustable system, and it makes use of their skyhook tech, which basically imagines that the bike is hanging from a hook in the sky, hence the name, and it effectively tries to control the bike to keep it perfectly level, whilst the suspension and wheels are the ones that are actually moving more so up and down. Then you've got superbike spec brakes, you've got Brembo style levers up front, a Brembo radial master cylinder as well, and look, it's a reasonably substantial bike, and then you've got 170 horses as well, so you need good brakes, but these thankfully are. The technology package as well on this bike is second to none. Plenty of riding modes to choose from. You've got Urban, Tour, Sport and Enduro. Through those you've got lean sensitive traction control and ABS, and of course you've got stuff like wheelie control, and it's all managed through this excellent TFT display, really nicely designed, very visible, and then you've got the option to plug your phone in to get more features through the dash like navigation and call handling.
For me, this bike really is one of the best all-rounders currently on the market. It's blisteringly quick when you really want it to be, and the handling is super impressive for a bike of this size. And yeah, if you do want to cruise along in comfort, it can do that as well. The riding position is spacious, there's plenty of wind protection, and the engine is actually very smooth. Plus you've got that tech package, so with the riding modes you can ask it to be chilled out and easy to ride, or you can really dial it up to feel super responsive. It can do the big comfy adventure bike thing, but I don't think there's another on the market that can quite deliver the same thrills. Now, before we get onto the features that are specific to this GT version, I'd just like to say a massive thanks to today's video sponsor, and that's Insta360. We use their X3 cameras to capture all of our riding footage, and they've genuinely been a game changer. You see, with a 360 camera like this, you can just mount it anywhere you want on the bike to get all sorts of interesting angles, and yet you don't have to worry about getting your frame in perfect there and then. You see, when you connect to their awesome app or import the footage into their desktop software, you can then resize and crop the clips exactly how you want. That makes it the perfect camera for creatively capturing your rides, and you can post vertical videos to social media or landscape for videos like this one, all from the same recording. These are our favorite cameras to use on the bike, and so if you like the look of them, then please do check out the link down in the description below, and you'll also find down there a free gift with every purchase specifically for my viewers. So once again, a huge thanks to Insta360 for their support, and with that, back to the bike.
So look, let's get stuck into some of the features that are specific to this Grand Tour edition. And at the tech briefing the other night, I jotted them down and I think there are about 14, so I'm going to rapid fire through them. Number one will be the paint job. This is what they call sandstone grey. And then you've also got some black panels, you've got some red logos and its own little graphical treatment with some red stripes and the Italian flag there on the side panels. Then you've got a bit of a difference in some of the finish on the hardware as well. So things like the swing arm and the passenger footrest holders are painted black instead of the silver on the other multi V4 bikes. Now you also get these color match side cases as standard as well, and while you do sacrifice a little bit of capacity on the right hand side here because of the exhaust, I think for a night or two away there's probably enough space to pack the essentials. Now down here we've got the center stand. That's standard fit on the Grand Tour as well, and of course if you're doing a longer trip, then being able to do maintenance and cleaning and chain lubing while you're on the go is certainly handy. Now you'll also notice the radar system at the front here, and you've got a radar on the back as well. These are standard on the Grand Tour, and that opens up active cruise control with this front radar, so the bike will automatically follow the traffic in front at a set distance. The one on the rear gives you blind spot warnings with the LEDs in the mirrors there, and I've got to say we did about an hour on the motorway last night from the factory to the hotel, and for the majority of it I was just following the lead rider with the active cruise control on. It really is very impressive. I've tried this bike on multiple occasions with this spec'd up, and for me, for covering lots of distance, it's certainly a feature that I'd be very happy to have. Now this bike is keyless, and so on this Grand Tour edition it's quite nice to get the hands-free filler cap as standard, and obviously that's going to make filling up a little bit more convenient. Another standard feature is their tire pressure monitoring system, and of course again if you're on a long tour you're probably going to want to know as soon as possible if you do get a puncture. And then down here at the front of the fairing we've also got these auxiliary fog lights as standard as well. Great for seeing of course in those worse weather conditions, but also if you're cruising on the motorway it could help with safety, increasing the visibility of you as well. Now I've got heated seats front and rear on this Grand Tour, and you can control those through the switch gear, and so if you're thinking of doing some touring in cooler climates then they're going to be a massive asset, as are the heated grips. And then you've also got these hand guards to keep a little bit of the wind chill off your knuckles as well. They've also removed what they call the silent blocks, which are some sort of rubber mounts for the handlebars. They're originally on the Multistrada V4s to reduce vibes through the bars, but they say they got rid of them on the Multi V4 Rally just because the vibes weren't actually that bad, and yet if you remove them it gives you a little bit more of a direct feel from the front end. Genuinely it's a pretty smooth engine, and so the vibes haven't even crept into my mind at all today, but you can tell that there is that little extra bit of directness. Now down by the engine we've got these little air scoops that direct cool air up to the rider, so if it's a warm day that's really nice to have. But they've also got these closable vents. Again, that's a feature from the Multi V4 Rally, just so you can shut them in cold weather and then enjoy some of the heat from the engine. And I believe this feature is also rolling out to the rest of the Multi V4 lineup for 2024. Then we've got a really neat little smartphone stash up here that's ventilated so your phone doesn't overheat. It's got a USB socket in there as well so you can connect to the bike. And I'd say my only criticism is the fact that my massive iPhone 12 Max or whatever it is doesn't fit in. So if you've got a bit of a phablet then it may not fit, but that's not a problem specific to Ducati bikes, because I've tried BMWs in the past with a similar feature for example, and again it didn't fit. This is standard to all the multis for 24 as well, as is the final feature, which is the heat shields, the extra heat shields that they've fitted at the back just so you don't catch your legs on anything too hot.
So lots of great features included on this bike, but I did have a couple of questions for the team at Ducati when we had the technical presentation. You see, I was perhaps expecting the 30-litre fuel tank from the rally version on a GT bike like this, but they told me it would have made the bike significantly heavier, and they wanted to preserve its light-footedness, which contributes to it being such a good bike to ride. I had also expected it to possibly get the more road-biased 17-inch front wheel of the Pikes Peak, but on this one they said the 19-incher was more suited to the handling of a GT bike with a little bit more stability, and also that it rolls better over less well-paved roads. This bike also doesn't get the larger windscreen of the Rally, although you can spec it later from the accessories catalogue, and there's also no extended rear cylinder deactivation, which runs the bike on 2 cylinders at lower revs to preserve fuel and reduce heat under the saddle. Thing is though, I suspect mixing too many components would have effectively created a new model, and that would have had to go through the expensive homologation process. This bike is more so existing components added to a Multistrada V4S.
But ultimately this bike is about offering the customer, I think, a bit of value for money, because at £23,595 it comes in a good few £100 less than a regular Multistrada V4S if you spec it up with all the same stuff.
Homologating a new bike would probably have pushed that price up until it didn't really look like such good value for money. And so look, if you're genuinely looking to go seriously long distance on a Multistrada V4, then the Rally's 30-litre tank probably makes it still the one to go for. This bike is more so for weekends away that include some more spirited riding, and so it makes a great choice for that, especially if you were already about to spec one up to the max, because you could save yourself a decent bit of money here. It's a brilliant, versatile and fun bike to ride, just now with that extra little added level of comfort.
As always, I'd love to know what you think of the bike, so please do let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see my review of the Multi V4 Rally, which has that extra off-road ability and a bit more distance focus, then I'll put that on the screen now so you can give it a click and give it a watch. Do hit subscribe if you've not already if you want to see more of the latest motorcycle reviews like this. Many thanks for watching today, and I'll catch you in the next one.